On our way to Morocco. Flying EasyJet, taking off at 4:30, landing at like 6.
And needless to say, we did not take off at 4:30, but that's kind of what EasyJet is known for. They have some troubles with their scheduling and their being on time. But once we kind of got through security and everything, we got on the bus to our plane and everything was really smooth sailing after that. I wouldn't knock EasyJet because it is a cheaper fare option, and sometimes it's really the only time you can get a direct flight when traveling throughout Europe. And once we took off, it was smooth sailing. The flight was pretty smooth and the service was actually really good, surprisingly, based on stuff that I had heard.
All right, so we just landed in Morocco. I'll show you more once we get through customs.
Now, one important piece of advice I can give you is when you land in Marrakesh, make sure you have about 50 euros per person to go through the fast track because the customs line is so long, it'll take about 2 hours. And speaking of money, the exchange rate is definitely in our favor. For Americans and Europeans, it's about 10 to 1 dirhams per USD or euro. And so after we got some money, we had to basically go through the declaration zone where I had to give up my drones. Now, this was really sad because it had all my content from the south of France. And once we got through everything, our driver picked us up, we hopped in the car, and we were on our way.
We made it. We're headed to Jnane, Tamsna, to meet a special friend, Meryanne and her husband. We're going to have dinner. We're here to talk about foreign investments and entrepreneurship in Morocco. So we're going to meet with the head of investments, and we're just going to talk about why Morocco is such a special place. So can you give me some foods to try while we're here?
And of course, he recommends the traditional Moroccan dish, tagine. And it took us about 30 minutes to get to Jnane, Tamsna, which is the name of the hotel we're staying at, owned and designed by Meryanne.
And these are the walls that guard the old city. They're pretty big. And that's the Medina, if you can see that.
Now, because we arrived so late, it was too dark to really tour the hotel property. But once we got up and looked around, it was incredible. Now, Jnane Tamsna is the first Black-owned hotel in Morocco.
This place and property is incredible. She designed everything herself, every inch. And we had a great discussion last night talking about the real estate market in Morocco and the opportunities here for foreign investment. Just an incredible property. Flowers, the trees. She said when she first got here, there was nothing here but the big date palm, you know, just the glamour and the 5-star luxury that this place has, and encouraged to look at Africa a lot differently, as far as not only vacationing, but investing as well. These doors are massive.
And the breakfast spread was incredible. I mean, we had everything from pastries, omelets, freshly squeezed juice. It was the perfect way to start a long day ahead of us.
All right, so we're headed into the city today. We're going to the Medina.
We get to see Morocco in the daylight, but we're gonna go meet the guide, right? And so I remember you were saying that no video really in the Medina.
And the reason why that is because the Medina is where a lot of people work and live, and it can come off as disrespectful if you're just filming them, you know, in their day-to-day task. Now, unless you are filming a specific project or you have a tour guide, I would refrain from doing so. But we had the best tour guide in Marrakesh who knew everybody.
Hello. How are you?
Meet our tour guide, Abdelghani, who knew everything.
Marrakesh, normally, this word, a Berber compound word composed into Marra and Kush. The Marra would mean to cross, and Kush means quickly, which means cross quickly.
Yeah. Now, the reason why Marrakesh means cross quickly was because of the open terrain made it easy for pirates to target trading caravans, but also the Atlas lions, who have now been extinct, were hunting in these areas. So you were a target for 2 different factors if you didn't cross quickly.
And mind that we are now in the original Marrakesh, what we call Medina. When we say Medina, the word literally speaking, it means city. But as far as Moroccan imperial cities are concerned, Medina always referring to the oldest part of the city.
Gotcha.
And it is surrounded by the wall. Right? And this is the tallest building in the whole city of Marrakech. By law, no building should go a bit higher than this. Any of these universities around the world after the graduation, you've got a hat with the tassel. Why? You've been given a hat with the tassel, and then you've been given your graduate, you know, saying congratulations. It's linked to the hat that used to be part of the uniform of the students in Fez. You know.
Now, most people think that Morocco is all desert, and it mostly is, but Marrakesh is an oasis because of the water runoff from the Atlas Mountains.
Have you heard about the last earthquake in Morocco?
Yes.
Last September?
Yes.
You know, it's been a really so powerful earthquake. It's 7.6. We did feel it. And I still have got that terrible sound. The train, sound of the train when it comes, it's 3 times or 4 times like that.
Wow.
And at first, I mean,
Then
the shake.
Now, after we had our introduction, it was time to hit the market.
Walk into the market.
And this day it was about 100 degrees, but it's dry heat, so there's no humidity. Now, it was very apparent that you could get whatever you wanted in this market. I mean, I'm talking from birds to, you know, different types of flowers, different type of pastries. And it was very interesting to see how young some of the kids were working in these shops. And our guide told us that, you know, these kids need to learn skills. Even if they go off to college, they always have something to fall back on. Now, the fruit was the most colorful I've ever seen fruit. And I learned something new about olives. The more ripe they are, the different colors they are. I thought they were just different types of olives. And of course, you can get, you know, live poultry. This was interesting to see. I guess you can call this farm to table, but the Medina also feeds tons of people within itself. So that was a really cool way to kind of see how they live.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
This is how fresh by this time also of the year. This is what we use in our drink, mint tea.
The mint tea.
They use mint and green tea also.
And clearly the best way to get around Marrakesh is on a motorcycle or a taxi cab. Traffic, I would say it's a little hectic, but I think that's just based on, you know, from what I'm used to. But it always seemed to work. Now, basically, there are shops everywhere in Marrakesh, especially in the Medina. And we started pointing out some stuff that we liked, but Abdelghani told us to chill because they might be knockoffs.
But there are some places where artisans
Uh-huh.
that making everything by hand. That honestly should be helped rather than machine-made stuff.
Yeah.
Mainly brought from China.
So basically, there are a lot of shops selling machine-made stuff, but that's not what you want. You want something from a real artisan, which is handcrafted and handmade. So as we're walking, we see a tuk-tuk, which is interesting because we were in Guatemala earlier this year, and that's basically how they kind of get around. So we're really fascinated by the tuk-tuk culture. I know it's really big in Asia, but it was interesting to see in Morocco. Now, our second stop was Bahia Palace, and basically it means brilliance or beautiful, and it is considered a masterpiece of Moroccan architecture.
Mid-19th century palace, Bahia Palace. Bahia, B-A-H-I-A. The second oldest monarchy in the world.
Which is the first? England. Yeah.
They got the orange trees everywhere.
And the cost to visit this palace is about $7 USD or 6 euros. And at this point, we were learning so much stuff and having so much fun. You know, we basically became best friends. And one of the best things about Abdelghani is that he knows everybody.
Good morning, Mr. Monsef. How are you? Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
You see, the first and the third one, they are so similar as far as the design is concerned. You see that Arabic calligraphy script?
Yeah.
Above immediately.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
So you have to, you have to do it really
and the
quick.
type of design that you see in there, it's coming just from the inspiration of these artisans.
And so you see these designs, they're made out of plaster. And because plaster dries so quickly, they leave it up to the artisans to design something because they have to do it so fast. And every inch of this palace was beautifully designed. But this was very interesting. Check this out.
This is where the 4 wives used to live all together in peace, in harmony.
No issues. No Imagine that.
Yeah. In dreams.
It's a fairy tale.
And the size of this palace is massive. It was about 19 acres, and it includes multiple courtyards, gardens, and over 150 rooms.
Will die.
Could you imagine this being your home? Imagine this being your living room. Like, hey, come into the living room. Let's watch a movie. And it's this.
So after we left the palace, it was time for lunch, and we were headed to this spot that came highly recommended by Meryanne. But on the way, we had to walk through some more markets, and we saw some very interesting stuff. And the hallways can get a little tight, so just be mindful of the traffic. So once we finally got to Lameda, we were walked upstairs, and these views were incredible. I mean, you can even see the Atlas Mountains in the background. The decor is beautiful, and it gave us a chance to really just kind of chill and recalibrate. First, we started with the kofta meatballs, and Mon said they were amazing, but I had to try the tagine. That's the traditional Moroccan dish that they're known for, but it's also the name of the pot that it's actually cooked in.
It is cooked in it. It is referred to as a tagine.
Now, this was funny because one thing about Iman is that she absolutely hates being on camera, so sometimes I have to sneak and record her. So check out her reaction. So after we left lunch, we decided to do some shopping. Now, our guide was going to take us to the real deal spots where the artisans actually make the goods versus the stuff that's kind of being imported and passed off as authentic.
This is very fake. Look at the work.
Yeah.
This is real for quantity. You see? And look at the best. أعطيني هذا حاجة مزيانة هذا راه يكتب علينا فهمتي. This is the best. And you could touch the leather. It's soft.
Oh yeah.
What do you need?
And there was such a difference in quality. I mean, I'm thankful for him because I didn't travel this far to get anything fake.
Just to see the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what makes difference in prices and size.
So after learning the real versus the fake, Iman grabbed a purse and I grabbed the duffel bag that was a combination of wool and leather. After some retail therapy, we hit up our next spot.
So this is the oldest university in Marrakesh?
There's 7 years, yeah, but now it's a museum.
Okay.
It's no longer at the university. It stopped being a university by late 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century.
This is beautiful. This is beautiful.
Yeah, this is so beautiful. Look at this. This would be used for the ablution. What is ablution? Very special process in which the Muslims would clean themselves before each prayer. 5 times a day. They would come here, start first with hands, then mouth 3 times, nose 3 times, the whole face 3 times, then the right arm 3 times, the left, then the head, then the ears, then the right foot, and then the left one.
Now, the name of this place is called Ben Youssef Madrasa, and it was established in the 14th century and was known as one of the biggest schools in North Africa. It housed over 900 students.
Look at the details in the walls. They kind of leave it up to the creators to just create something because you can't plan for this because of how quickly it dries.
Next, we went to go check out the dorms where the students lived.
You know, and you could feel how cooler it is in here.
Yeah, it's much cooler.
That's really small. That's really small. You can see what they call themselves.
And when I say small, they were small. Basically, I couldn't lay down in it from head to toe. That's how small they were.
So
This is mainly devoted to newcomers.
the freshmen.
Exactly.
These are the freshman dorms. So clearly, the more senior you are, you get a room with a view. This is like one of the senior rooms. And you see you got a room, you got the window.
And our last stop of the day is visiting the Women's Co-op. Now, this is an incredible initiative that empowers local women by providing them the opportunities to produce and sell traditional Moroccan goods. And the stuff in here was absolutely beautiful, and they shipped all over the world.
This is authentic Moroccan stuff. So I'd like to introduce you, Yusuf.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir. Hello. Nice to meet you.
It's beautiful.
The people where the earthquake took place was a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So we try to help them as much as we can.
And this was my favorite room. I mean, these wool fabrics and rugs were so beautiful and so colorful. I just had to pick one up. And that was our last stop of the day. So as we're headed to our car, we saw tons of earthquake damage, which was really sad.
So we're at Tamsna to interview some people that, moved to Morocco to, explore a different life, whether they're entrepreneurs, they're in Airbnb arbitrage, social media management. So we're going to see what life has been like for them.
And you can read more about the interviews on shopblack.com. I'll put the link in the description. Now, day 2 is filled with just as much excitement as day 1. We started this day off with the hot air balloon ride over the Agafay Desert. And now this was an early morning. We had to get up at 4 o'clock to meet our driver to take us to the desert. It was about an hour drive, but it was completely worth it. Check these visuals out. I mean, I learned how hot air balloons are basically built from just laying down fabric, pumping them with, you know, hot air. They stand up straight, we get in, and it is pretty incredible how they put all this together in such a short span of time. And the coolest part about this is we got to see the sunrise over the Atlas Mountains. Just check out these views. I'll put the link of the tour company in the description, but I highly recommend them. I mean, they took care of everything from picking us up from the hotel, giving us coffee and tea before flight, going over safety instructions, explaining, you know, what we're going to see, what to expect. And then they were pumping some tunes that got everybody going and feeling good about themselves. That tour wraps up about 9 o'clock, so of course we had to take a nap. But once we woke up about noon, we were back at it. And because we only had 2 days, of course we had to keep it moving. So the next stop was Marrakech. Now this was a museum that had over 9,000 pieces of treasure and artifacts and jewelry and textiles, gathered all the way from like West Africa to, you know, all the way to China. The owners, Marlene and Paolo Gallone, they basically moved to Marrakech years ago, and out of love for the city, they decided to share their collection by creating this incredible space.
From Ghana?
From Ghana. Saudi Arabia. Gold and turquoise from Iran. 4 kilos of gold thread. It's an incredible work. Anklet. From Nigeria.
You have to walk like this.
Yes, you cannot work.
Or walk at all.
Carried, yeah.
Down.
Through talking, investigation, yeah.
And book from Dagestan in Caucase.
Now, we were lucky enough to get a private tour from Paolo Gallone, who was the owner and curator of this museum.
Kurdish from Syria.
How, you know, he only sees a heart.
Right.
Well, you tell us it's about 50.
Yeah.
Uzbekistan. It was
How many heads you killed?
How many heads you killed?
I mean, even the rooms had their own decoration. Like this was a room dedicated to Asia, and of course they had like the geisha doors. That's a samurai suit. They had like the geisha dresses. This place was absolutely incredible.
Just show you this from Mongolia.
And so the next stop is what is considered one of the most historical sites in Marrakech. It was the Sadian tombs. Check this out.
It's a cemetery. They couldn't touch it, you know, it's sacred.
Yeah.
So they walled it, and no one heard about it for centuries. And then during the French protection, there was a small little plane which was flying over the Medina and the Qatar, and they sold that.
So basically this was a sacred place that nobody knew what was inside until a plane flew over. And so the last part of this tour was to visit the head of investments, which is part of the Ministry of Finance. But first we got to see some beautiful architecture like this opera house, the Royal Theater. We also got to see the new train station that was just built. I mean, this city had it all. It's so beautiful and the people are so nice. And investing in Marrakech now definitely has its potential with the World Cup coming in 2030. After we got back to the hotel, we rested up a little bit, grabbed some dinner, and we had to go to sleep for our early morning flight.